On time, as usual, here at Brevard Sports Network. And we actually are here. Welcome to a special Thursday afternoon interview. Alan Slaughterzinski with you live. This is not recorded live from the BSN studios. And if you were with us this morning from Titusville High School, then you witnessed something that truly felt like a homecoming. Well, it was a homecoming, to be honest with you. And as the Titusville Terriers named their new head football coach, and of course, many of you, all of you in the community that are in the know when it comes to high school football, obviously know this guy, know this guy's family, and know that this is an absolutely terrific hire. In fact, one of my favorite things he said today, and we'll talk about this, 15-week schedule. And that really stuck out to me.
That's a tall task.
Please welcome here to the Brevard Sports Network studios to be introduced for the first time on an interview is the new head football coach of the Titusville Terriers, Mr. Matt Diesel. Coach, first of all, congratulations, my friend.
Hey now, how about that?
I love the hey now thing. You know what the best part of all of this was today?
What's that?
And I looked for this. When you walked out, first of all, I just want to commend Principal Gonzalez and A.D. Burley. What the pomp and circumstance with the cheerleaders, the drum line, it was incredible.
Yeah.
But the best part of the whole presentation was I knew your ass was walking out with a do.
I got one right here, man.
There it is. I knew it was happening. And I absolutely love it.
I am who I am.
I was going to say, because that is what makes you, Coach. You are who you are, and that is the beautiful part about this. All right, listen, I know we're not going to go deep into this, but listen, you really loved being the defensive coordinator at Cocoa. This was a tough decision for you, no matter the history, the family, all of it for Titusville. First, talk about that and what ultimately flipped the script for you.
Yeah, it was an extremely difficult decision, one that I wrestled with right to the end. I'm obviously very excited about where I'm at and what we're going to try to do and, all the things that come with, getting to be a part of a program and taking the reins. But no, the Cocoa family is special. The Cocoa coaching staff is special. The Cocoa school, the community, the players that I've coached over the last 5 years, these guys mean something to me in my heart. And and that's the tough thing, especially in high school athletics, any athletics, college, college, maybe not so much anymore in college because that's getting to be like pro football, but college, but particularly high school football, when you get these young guys coming into a program, you get a buy-in and, you always say to yourself, like, for example, I'm just going to use an example. A couple years back, I had an opportunity to leave Cocoa, and it was when Samadre, Hawkins, I'm trying to think of some of the guys here, Pee Wee, Lauren Ward, a bunch of these guys were all sophomores, and, man, we had, we came up just short, and I had an opportunity to go at that time, but the relationships that I had built with those kids and the belief and the buy-in, I couldn't turn my back on them. And turn my back is a strong word. I will never turn my back on any kid that I've ever coached. Any kid that I've coached, I love them. I think that most of them, love me. They know what I'm about. They know who I'm. If we've crossed paths at Cocoa over the last 5 years and you had something to do with me, I care about you.
Right.
And so when you develop those relationships with those young guys, it makes it tough at any point for any coach at any time in your career to move on or move to another job for a promotion or what have you, because unfortunately the nature of the way the business works is you're going to unfortunately have to leave some kids behind that you're not going to be able to coach anymore.
Correct.
That you care about. And that's the part that made it so tough is I had so many great kids at Cocoa that are just great people, and I love them tremendously. But on the flip side of the coin, a lot of the kids that I met today, I can tell you it's going to, they're receptive and they're wanting what we've been doing. And, so it's been a lot of turmoil toughest. I'm going to say it. I mean, I'm trying to think of my life as we sit here. This is one of the tougher decisions I've ever had to make in my life at this moment.
And your wife is here today in studio, and she's sitting back there shaking her head up and down. And, you know, I'm sure this was a decision. And when you talk about Titusville,
can I stop you there real quick, Alan? I do want to say,
no, go ahead.
You know, coaches and coaches' wives. You know, there's, you know, I think of, you know, people like Erica Mays, my mom. My wife, you know, the coach's wife goes through it. And, you know, my poor wife over the last however many weeks or whatever we've been dealing with this, when it came up, I may have not been the kindest, normalest guy ever. And, you know, for her to keep things running, be the sense of stability, the calm, the rock, the peace in the household, there is no tougher job than being a coach's wife. And my wife knocked it out the park. As bad as I was at times, she did outstanding.
Yeah. I mean, I'm watching her face as you say this, and I am absolutely certain that a big sigh of relief.
Yeah.
Daughters too
has
come over the Diesel household. Listen, you and I spoke Friday night.
Yeah.
And you didn't know then, and you didn't know really up until yesterday, quite honestly.
Right.
But here's the thing.
Right.
So I remember specifically asking you this question Friday night, and I said, Coach, I said, what's your dad think? And I found your answer to be incredible to this because I love this answer. What'd you tell me?
He was going to, and like my wife, and to their somewhat frustration, he was willing to support whatever decision I made. And
he was going to go with, it didn't matter.
He did not steer me or sway me in the slightest. He did not want me to make a decision based on what he thought or felt or whatever it may be. Same for my wife, you know. And this is where I think we all have our shortcomings in life. If I have a shortcoming, one of them, probably of the many, but one of them is and I think as men, especially as coaches, alphas, whatever you want to call them, you keep things inside and you struggle with it internally. No one was more frustrated than my wife. I said this to the committee yesterday. If my wife could have waved a magic wand to make me have a clear conscience, a good heart, she would have done that. So no, I struggled internally, and both my wife and of course my dad, they didn't push me one way or the other. Whatever I wanted to do, they were going to support, and I'm thankful.
It has so you were a head coach before, and I think a lot of people forget that. In 2018, you went 6-4 at Space Coast. You spent 2 seasons there with the Vipers.
4 and 6.
Yeah, you listen, but coaching even from 2019 as a head coach, especially in this county.
Yeah.
In this state has changed dramatically.
Yep.
What did you take? What have you learned? What makes you a better head coach today than you were in 2019? Why are you ready today?
Good point. Well, first off, I think like you and I talked when I took the Coco job. You asked me, you ever think you want to be a head coach again? And my answer was very simple. It has to be the right fit.
Right.
It would have to be the right fit. I'm not a guy chasing a title or none of it. It doesn't matter to me. I want to fit where I'm going to fit best. And this was, there's no more perfect fit. As far as the climate and the way the state of the way the rules are in Florida right now, it is a bit of the wild, wild west. But I still believe kids that want to be good, kids want to be coached hard.
Right.
Kids want to know that you care about them. Kids want to know that you love them. And when you put those things together and you build real relationships with these young men, the sky's the limit. So I'm gonna keep being who I am, whatever the rules may be. If I got a kid that wants to transfer out to Key West High School and get on an airplane every morning, I wish him the very best. But I'm going to be who I am, and I'm going to coach the way I know how. And I think everything that I'm going to continue to do still stands today, even in today's environment.
What did you learn over the last 6 years or 5 years at Cocoa? What did you learn from Schneider? What did you learn from some of those guys there?
I think a lot of what we're just talking about. Coaching them hard, loving them up. I think the other thing Coach Schneider does, and I think I did a good job of it too, but, building meaningful relationships with kids. There's not a kid that
Trust.
Trust, yeah. There's not a person that came through the program that doesn't love Coach Schneider.
Right.
And because he does it the right way. I consider him one of my very best friends. And I love the guy like a brother. And, he was very gracious and supportive of me when I made the phone call to him. My hat's off to everything he does in his style. And, he's a hell of a football coach.
Let's switch gears a little bit to Titusville, because obviously you go back to the days of the Anthony Mitchells, the Gerald Whites, the Johnny Rosses. I can see Frank Crosley running back the onside kick in '82, and
all those games are still on YouTube. I watch them time to time,
and I still see that exactly on YouTube, and the tradition, Al Wernicke, and it's there. Titusville wins 2 state championships. Your dad was the head coach there for 13 years, competitive football program.
And unfortunately, in my dad's era, he was in the era of only the district champ got into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And, so many times, I can tell you, we dropped a touchdown pass as time's running out on a slant to lose to Merritt Island, or he's in the playoffs. I think that was his first year. He had some really good teams, but let's face it, in that era, Merritt Island was rolling.
Sure they were.
We had some really good football teams in this county. And obviously you talk about the early 2000s, Rockledge was doing real things, and they did it all through the 90s too.
They did.
I know they got the titles in the early 2000s, but you got Astronaut that in the 90s was rolling. Rockledge was rolling. Merritt Island. It was tough football.
It seemed important to you today as you were standing up there, and I love the fact that you let those kids know there wasn't going to be anybody in that room, didn't matter who it was, that was going to know more about the history of this program than you know. And how important is it to you that your players know what Titusville is? Because I know the fan base.
Yep.
One of the loudest in the fan base is a big representative in the community in his own right in terms of a media guys. The voices are strong. Why is it important to you that today's kids, who seemingly, fair or unfair, may not care anymore about the history of the program than they do? They're going to care more about NIL and all of that. But how do you make this history matter?
I think honesty. When you talk about the NIL in the college game, obviously at Cocoa. Listen, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to start. I spoke at a Glazer clinic. For those that may not know, Glazer is a nationwide coaching clinic circuit, and they like to get guys in there that have had success, and they want you to talk and blah blah blah, right? And I actually very much love Glazer. I think that's the real nitty gritty, nuts and bolts of football. You go to Glazer, you learn some stuff.
Right.
You go to the Nike convention, and I like it too, but it's more social hours.
Sure.
So I had an opportunity to speak at Glazer a couple of years ago, and guess who? They knock on your door when you're back-to-back state champions. I was in that Glazer clinic, and I'll say this in front of God and anybody. Coach Schneider was there as my witness. I stood up in front of those 2 sessions that I taught, and I told every one of those guys right there, guys, I said, I'm going to show you what we do at Cocoa. I think we do a real good job of it, and I put up a bunch of examples of what we did. But I'm also going to tell you that however many years ago that was, the transfer portal popped at Titusville at the very, right there at the end of Coach Lawrence's career. I think the average age on the defense for sure was like 15 years, 4 months.
Yeah.
We were a JV age team playing a varsity schedule, and we went 1-9.
Yeah.
There's a reason that, you see these high school guys fighting for kids and coaches are recruiting and NIL money. Listen, you got to have talent to win games.
Yes, you do.
You got to have talent to win games. And we won a lot of daggum games at Cocoa, and we had a lot of really good players.
People don't realize, or maybe they do, some of the best talent that's ever run on a gridiron in this county comes from the Ville.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
You know, I mean, and
Now,
that,
listen,
but
no
it doesn't mean they played for the Ville.
That's
How you
right.
keep kids home.
I think I'm going to be who I am. And the other thing that I think, and not that I'm a big social media guy, but, I looked at the Facebook thing right before I came in here. I hadn't touched it all morning. And, the entire community, when I say the entire community, I'm talking people I haven't seen or heard of in 20 years, sending messages and excitement. Titusville is a unique spot. And I think, a lot of people say
What makes it unique?
What makes it unique is that it's a small town that is semi-large, but there is 2 high schools. The small town, everybody knows everybody, and it's one of those deals. But what makes it unique is the older generations have a deep care and love for their local school. The newer generations, we got kids that want to, hey, I got a flash in the pan over here. I'm going to jump to over there. I tell kids all the time, and I'm going to circle back, but you know why the grass is greener on the other side?
I don't.
Because it's watered with bull crap.
Right. Right. No, I got you.
I think when you talk about kids from Titusville, there is an internal belief that they have seen kids from Titusville go elsewhere and leave their hometown. And I'm not saying there's a hate by any means, but there's certainly a, man, you should have stayed here.
Yeah.
And the kids that I met today are itching to play for the blue and gold.
Yes, they are.
They are itching.
You saw that in their faces today.
Yeah. And I can tell you, talking to the administration, that kids have been coming by and literally knocking on the principal's door, waiting for their next head football coach so they can get to work. They are so excited about the trajectory that they have gotten on over the last couple years, and they want to continue that and try to push it further.
They're looking now on the screen at the kids, looking at you deliver the, which I thought was fascinating that they sat there and essentially, if you look at today's student athletes, listen, you made a comment today that, you were ADD before it was a word. I'm with you.
Oh, yeah.
And these kids were locked into you today, man.
Yep.
I mean, they were absolutely locked in to what every word you were saying. And I watched for that today because a lot of times these, you get a new head football coach, and I've seen it twice this week where, I saw it with Coach Panucci down at Melbourne.
Cool.
Where, the kids were locked in on what they were saying, but that's because you're from there.
Yeah.
Panucci was from there. There's something to be said for a guy that coaches where he went to school, where he played, where he met his wife.
It matters.
That's big time stuff.
Well, and I didn't overly realize, and I know Titusville. I know everybody in Titusville. And if I don't know him, my dad dang sure does. That being said, after we kind of finished up and I, was shaking all the kids' hand as they were heading back to class, I guess the rumor mill had been bouncing around and my name has come up a few times. And, I had multiple kids. Coach, we know all about you. My mom knows you. You went to school with my aunt. Your brother and my mom graduated together. That kind of thing.
Right.
I mean, that's how Titusville is.
That's a connection right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate. So many of these kids, you could tell that, and I feel it too, that there's a familiarity, and I don't even know their name yet.
Right.
And that's Titusville in a nutshell. You're familiar with everybody, and you may not know their name.
What's really important today is, as I circle around this county as much as we do, whether it's me, Caleb Jackson, even having, good people in my ear constantly and talking with them, great guys like Billy Palmer, talking to these guys, watching these guys, listening to these guys. The presence of community in youth football is so important. And Titusville has such an outstanding youth football program. National champs a couple of years ago. I know that's not a setting today where you talk about that with a high school team, but what do you want the youth community to know, those parents to know about what you intend to be and do as the head coach there.
So it's funny you say that. That part of that came up, with the committee. The president of the youth league, his name's Linwood Davis, and he is a rock star in the Titusville community. Linwood Davis graduated the year after me. We played Little League football all the way through high school. I've known Linwood since we were literally elementary age kids. I am going, and I don't really know exactly where they stood before I showed up with the youth league. I'm going to go out of my way. And first off, I have to say, I have a nephew that plays at the Little Terriers, and my brother
That's
Scott,
right. I forgot. Yeah.
who coached the offensive line last year for Titusville, spends a lot of time over there helping out too. So they've already got that going. I'm going to know everybody over there when I go. But the one thing I'm going to do, a lot like my dad did in years past, I did it at Space Coast. I'm going to reach out once I get my feet settled and let the dust kind of settle down a little bit. I'm going to do everything in my power to have a bridge between those guys and us, open line of communication. I'm going to be at their games, at least the older divisions for sure, because that's a long day. But I'm going to get out to, most home games for sure. But the other thing I'd like to do, and I'm going to work with the president of the Little League. I'm going to do. I did it like a chalk talk session. I'm not even going to call it a coach's clinic. My staff that I'm going to put together, we're going to have the youth guys come over. I'm going to buy pizzas. I'm going to buy Cokes. We're going to sit in an office somewhere at Titusville, maybe a classroom, and we're going to relax. I'm going to get to know them. They're going to get to know me if we don't know each other. I'm going to show them what we're going to be doing.
Build the foundation.
And if anything I'm doing, they want to know about it, I'm glad to tell them.
Yeah.
And if they have something they think I should see, I'm glad to see it. So I'm going to do, and what I'd like to also do, we did this at Space Coast. My dad did it for years. One night over the summer, and we're going to work on this. And I don't have any dates. Heck, I just got hired today. But I'm going to do a youth football camp where my high school athletes are going to work stations with position coaches.
Right.
And we're going to run them through county fair.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be in the summer. It'll probably be about 7:30 as the sun's set. We'll turn the lights on, get some food trucks out, open the concession, whatever we do, have the music going. I'm going to have all the youth kids come out. We're not going to charge them $1. We're going to have a great camp. And at the end of the camp, we're going to play some flag football. I did that last time. Not at flag touch football.
Right.
And we're going to have a great night as a community. And that's the kind of thing I can't wait to do with our kids.
And make these kids want to be Titusville Terriers.
Man, if you don't want to be a Titusville Terrier, I don't know what's wrong.
You're with the new Titusville Terrier head football coach. How does that sound? I mean, has it really sunk in yet?
It's so weird because I can tell you when you wear colors for so long, you get very accustomed to it. I can remember the first time I had to put on purple, and I was at Space Coast.
Yeah, you look weird in that. No offense to the Vipers.
I got a lot of good people there. My wife
yeah.
teaches there.
Yeah, no, strange.
Nothing. Yep. But it was an odd feeling for the first little bit. It was like very odd to me. That was the first time I wore another team's colors my whole life. As far as coaching.
It's really weird to see your dad in it.
Yeah, right. And then, when I got to Cocoa, I put on the black and orange, and and I think a lot of it because the relationship that I've built with Coach Snyder, it felt right.
Sure.
It felt right. And the type of kids, the guys that I'm coaching with, man, listen, there's some great coaches at Cocoa.
Yeah, there's a ton of them.
The guys that I've had the pleasure to work with over the last 5 years, some are gone that I've coached with previously, to the guys I just worked with these last couple years. It's been great. But to put on the orange felt good. This morning, when I put my hoodie on to walk out the house, it does, like the blue on my sleeve, just because I'm so used to wearing the black.
Right.
The blue on my sleeve just kind of looked a little weird, but then
this is you.
That's how.
This is who you are. Yeah. Again.
Yep. So
again.
it feels. I wore Titusville stuff since I was a little kid. Yeah.
I wrote in the article. Obviously your dad's going to be 12 straight years now with you, and the opportunity to finish where he began. Of course, your brother, offensive line,
he does a great job.
What? So let me ask you this: how do you plan? I know you and I talked about this Friday, and if you care to share, how will your staff look? What do you want in an assistant coach? And what will, I mean, you're a defensive guy, but what are you going to call?
Well, that's a good question. A lot of that's to be determined. Like I said, I just accepted the position about 3 hours ago, but I can tell you the guys that are on the staff currently from Coach Holmes, but let me say this too. Coach Holmes did a good job at Titusville.
3 straight seasons.
Coach Holmes did
winning
a good
seasons,
job.
Yeah.
He came in when the job was a tough job to take. He did everything in his power to help right the ship. And I want to make sure I'm on record that I think Coach Holmes did a great job. And I think he's a fine guy, and I'm glad he's back at his alma mater. And, there's no better feeling.
You where you belong, he's where he belongs, and Panucci's where he belongs. It's a perfect fit.
Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah.
No, we're talking about staff.
Staff. So, my ADD.
There you go. No, it's all ADD. Good. I'm with you. Try being a reporter with it.
I'm self-diagnosed. No, but the guys that are on the staff that remain are good guys, and they care about kids, and they work hard, and they're going to do it. When I met these guys, some of them I knew. I'll tell you, our defensive line coach, I played high school football with him. Him and I were in Miss Murray's first grade class together at Apollo Elementary.
A lot of these kids balled out for these guys.
They played great. I looked at the Sanford Seminole film the other night. They got out. They got in a little rut early, and they battled back and came up here short. The staff that's already there is going to do a great job for us, and we're going to be fine. And we'll see what we add here along the way.
Hearing that you're the obvious choice, and I know you heard this all weekend. It's tough to turn it off, especially when the whole damn community is screaming your name from the mountaintops.
Yeah,
right? You cannot turn this off.
I haven't looked at Facebook Messenger,
text,
Twitter,
anything.
My phone. I'm telling you, I was trying in the very beginning to, because I try to be kind and polite and cordial to people. I'm not a mean guy, but it got to be overwhelming, and I just hit the mute.
You walked into Vieira High School gym the other night for the basketball game, and you were there to hang out, maybe jump on the broadcast, and you never made it to me.
Yeah, no, I did. I did. You're right.
You never made it. We didn't even meet up until after.
Well, and
that's how much everybody wanted to talk to you about this.
Yeah, no question. And at the time, so you saw I got to hang out there with you, and got to hang out there with Coach Brayboy, and I love Coach Brayboy. He's been a great add to the Cocoa staff. He's a Cocoa guy. Coach Brayboy does a great job, and he's as loyal as they come. He's a great guy.
What do you need from the community right now? Because the community got what they wanted in their head coach at Titusville. You are their head coach.
Yeah.
What do you need from the community?
Well, I think what you need from a community, first and foremost, and I can tell you, I don't know all the specifics, but I do know, through conversations with the people that are in charge of these kind of things over there, I've inherited a pretty good situation.
Yeah.
Financially, the team is doing well. Mm-hmm. Obviously, in high school football, no one's ever getting rich, but we're in good shape. Obviously, you need all the monetary support you can get when it comes from a community, because every single dollar that comes in, however it comes in, whether it's a donation, they buy something from what do you call that? Where they sell the merchandise at the stadium, however else they fundraise, every single one of those dollars goes into a child on that team. Listen, nobody's getting rich coaching high school football in Brevard County, that's for sure.
Well,
and everything that people give goes directly to those players, and they deserve it.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. And I know that you're going to have. I know you're going to have all the support you need
too.
there. There's no doubt about that.
I am very fortunate, being that I am in and around Titusville. I have had people reach out to me when the rumor mill started. Some businesses there that say, I cut 2 checks a year to the school. If you become the head coach, those checks just got bumped up. And,
there you go.
That kind of thing. But the other thing, as much as monetary is important, because it is.
It is important.
Listen, the buses don't run on air.
No, they don't.
The uniforms just don't show up.
No, they don't.
The reconditioning of the helmets don't happen, because the company felt like they wanted to be generous.
Nope.
It takes money to run a program.
Yeah, the kids want to look good.
Yeah. It takes money to run a program. And Titusville has done a good job based on the conversations I've had of fixing what was not a great situation a couple years ago. So, Coach Holmes and the athletic director, Coach Burley, the president of the Booster Club, Barry Russell, and obviously the principal, who's got a thumb over it all, they've done a great job. I was very pleased when I had that conversation.
Today was amazing.
Yeah.
I've been covering high school sports in this county going over 10 years now. I've never seen a coach introduced the way the way you were introduced today.
Let me tell you about that. So I get in the truck, and we're finally rolling out. As you know, my oldest daughter, Madeline, was there. And we get in the truck, and we're pulling out of THS. And Maddie asked me, I don't know how it came up, but the comment was made, has anybody ever had that big of an introduction in Brevard County as a head football coach?
Not that I've seen.
I said, I don't know, and I didn't anticipate that, but we better find a way to win some football games.
Let me tell you something right now. If what's his name from the Dallas Cowboys, he was a Friday 8 p.m. news dump hire by Jerry Jones. That's an NFL head coach. Yeah. He would have loved to have the drumline and cheerleaders from Dallas.
They treated us right, and I think I call it I don't know what to call it, but I'm going to say I was overwhelmed at the excitement. I was overwhelmed by all the people that wanted to be a part of it this morning. I was overwhelmed with the turnout that we had.
Yeah, it was great.
I had no idea it was going to be that big.
And I know Miss Gonzalez, by the way, Miss Gonzalez, happy birthday.
Hey, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Principal Gonzalez. Yep. And I want to thank Miss Gonzalez and A.D. Burley for having us there today, and you as well.
Yep.
As we get set to wrap up here, everybody can take a deep breath now, right?
Yeah.
And just relax. What's next? What is the next step for you?
Yep.
Just hired today.
Yep.
What do you got to do now?
So the next thing is first off, I talked to Coach Burley, the athletic director, upon the completion of our events today. And, him and I are going to meet early next week, and we're going to come up with a day where we have a team meeting probably middle next week, and we are going to get winter workouts underway in a big way.
Okay.
We're going to start with winter workouts. Now, I also know, and I encourage, just like Coco, Coach Snyder's done a great job of trying to make kids more than a one-sport athlete. Mm-hmm. He's always encouraged it, and I encouraged it my whole career. I'm going to do the same. I want the kids that can help a basketball team, go be a basketball player. The kids that are going to be a good wrestler, go be a wrestler. I love wrestling.
Sure. You were a wrestler.
Oh, yeah. I think it's, I love football. I used to say this all the time to my wife when we were a kid. People would always ask me, what do you like best, football, wrestling, or baseball? And I don't know, it just kind of came up one day, but that's how I felt. I said, football will make you tough.
Yeah.
Wrestling will make you a man.
Right.
And baseball was my off season.
There
for
you
me
go.
personally. I love baseball, but we can run 90 feet at a time.
Right. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
But no, so we're going to get to.
That's how I felt about hockey.
Yeah, we're gonna have our team meeting. I'm going to figure out who's doing what sports. I'm going to, I know there's a basketball game.
You're a big supporter of other sports. You show up to all of them anyway.
I'll be there.
Riviera Rockledge basketball Friday night.
I said that to the kids today. Yeah. I'm a fan of high school sports. Like I told them, I can't draw one basketball play.
Right.
And I think that's kind of why I like watching high school basketball, because I'm not critiquing anything. I don't know anything
You're just
about
watching sport.
I'm having a good time. So when because my daughter was cheering at Rockledge, I was at the the Cape Coast Conference Championship between was at Viera and Rockledge.
Yeah.
And then they had the rematch a couple days later, and it was, it didn't disappoint. It was a great game, and I wanted to come see the game.
So it's one thing for your daughter. So I'm going to ask this question for Martell. So it's one thing for your daughter to be at Rockledge and in the barbecue bowl, right?
Yep.
But now your daughter attends Rockledge High School. Is there a chance we could see Titusville and Rockledge?
I don't see why not.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. John Holmes got a lot of respect for him. I'm appreciative of what he did. I'm excited to see.
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
that would be fun, and of course, obviously, you and Coco.
And of course, us. I put my Coco hat on. The Coco hat says, is it even a rivalry at this point anymore? Coach Schneider's quick to point out.
There you go. Take one more shot.
The shortcomings of Rockledge. Coach Schneider, he is who he is, and I love him for who he is. But I'm excited to see. You were there. You called the game.
Is the schedule done? I mean, what do you got to?
So I'm not exactly sure. I know we start. Luckily, we start out with Heritage.
You got a spring game?
That's to be determined. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do there yet.
Well, there's a couple coaches looking for one, so let me know.
That's to be determined. I was just kind of getting the State of the Union. We're going to figure that out. But we'll talk about that.
Yeah, it'll be fun, man. We got a lot to do, and I know it feels like a long way before we get there, but it's truly not. Two more things before you go.
Yep.
First thing I want to ask, who's going to win the Super Bowl?
How do you bet against Kansas City?
You don't bet against them, and that's just it. Don't be foolish, people. Don't be foolish. And the second, and we'll end with this. That's your camera right there. Normally, you and I, we look at each other. Everybody sits in that chair, and they look at me. But I want you to look into that camera right there. And I want you to say whatever is on your heart about taking this job and what people can expect. There you go, Coach.
All right. Well, for me, this move was bigger than football. Football just happened to be the vehicle that allowed me to get back to Titusville. It's about community. It's about people that you've known your whole life. It's about leaning on each other as a community. It's about asking the community to be positive, be supportive. And it's very. I know that the spaces and people talking, and I've jumped on spaces once or twice, and actually I think just one time, and it was just to clarify a rushing record as my Terrier knowledge hit. But I think what we need to do as a community sometimes is take a step back and remember that these wins and losses are they're by 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. And there's a lot of pressure in their day-to-day life without any sports attached or involved. And now you add this whole another element, it's a lot to deal with for the modern athlete. And so if we, be patient, but we're gonna, we're gonna come out of the gate, shot out of a cannon. Like I told the kids today in the meeting, you're gonna get the best version of me every day. The kids of Titusville, I owe that to them. As the head football coach, that's my job, and to make sure and ensure my coaches are bringing their best, because the kids of that community and that school and the people of that school in and around the program, that's what they deserve. They deserve the very best from the guy that's going to be at the head of the program, and I'm going to give him my best. That's all I can do.
Coach, I'm going to say this. I'll end with this. It feels right this week, this month. Every year you can pretty much count on 5 or 6 hires, 5 or 6 job openings in this county, and they all don't go well. Some of these guys, this doesn't work out, and you know it right away. As soon as the name is named, you know it right away.
Yep.
But John Holmes at Rockledge, Jeff Panucci at Melbourne, and Matt Diesel at Titusville. If anything ever
and Halleck at Astronaut.
And Halleck at Astronaut. If anything has ever felt more right in terms of new coaching hires, it's that right there. And I don't think we're done yet, but that's to be determined. So, Coach Diesel, Mrs. Diesel, thank you both so much for taking the time to come down here today, because I didn't expect this. And I couldn't be more thrilled to have had this opportunity. And thank all of you out there for joining me this morning. Congratulations to the Titusville Terriers. You got your man. And now work to be done. For McKenna Diesel, for Matt Diesel, I'm Alan.